Welcome in to PressBox Live. I'm Stan the Fan Charles of PressBox at PressBoxOnline.com. And with me, if it's a Thursday, it's Eric Garfield of the Florida Prospects Report, now doing some stuff with us at PressBox. He is at Eric_Birdland to follow him. That's a Twitter handle, correct, Eric?
It
Or
is. Happy
or at,
Thursday.
yeah, okay. Have you made the change over? I mean, do you call it X or do you still call it Twitter?
I'm going to call it Twitter forever.
Okay, good. I feel I'm the same way. I'm the
I'm
same
glad
way.
we're aligned on that. It's very
All
important.
right. It's good to be aligned on that. Hey, we are brought to you to take care of a little business before we start chit-chatting. We're brought to you by AJ Michaels, and they've got a question for you. What company makes your home more energy efficient, kills all allergens and viruses, and qualifies you for $6,000 in rebates? That
Mm.
would be AJ Michaels. Turn to the experts, AJ Michaels and Carrier at ajmichaels.com. And we, of course, are brought to you by our friends at the new Atman's
Mm.
at Baltimore's Harbor Point. If you're craving that classic New York deli experience, look no further than the new Atman's Deli in Baltimore's Harbor Point. Corned beef piled high, hand rolled bagels, and something new, a bar. That's right. Atman's has food and drink specials every day, now open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Dine in, grab takeout, or hang out at our bar for the next O's game, whether it's a home game or a road game. They got them on TV there. Atman's Deli, an authentic taste of Baltimore tradition since 1915. Find us at Harbor Point or visit atmansdeli.com, and we'll talk a little bit about the Costas Inn moving forward. But Eric, you and I, we sort of came up with an idea a couple of weeks ago, and we set it for this week. The FCL, the Florida Complex League, has started in earnest,
Yep.
and you got some updates on some players, and you gave me the names. I'm just going to feed you the names, and you tell me a little bit about them, okay?
Okay, I'm ready.
All right. I know you like infield prospect Leandro Arias. Tell us a little bit about him, what position he plays in the infield, and left-handed hitter, switch hitter, right-handed hitter.
Okay, let's start with his handedness. Leandro is a switch hitter. He throws right, so he plays second and shortstop. He's from my video. He's just about as good at both positions, so one doesn't kind of stand out. What does stand out is his left-handed hitting numbers are much better than his right. So I don't want to say he's like a powerful guy or a slap hitter. He's kind of in the middle. But right now he's 19, so we really don't know what he is. Since he's been rehabbing in the Florida Complex League, he is batting 400, and his OPS after today's extra base hit is 1.577. So he looks healthy. He's driving the ball, a triple off the wall, a home run last week. I've video of all these things, but Leandro Arias broke camp with the Shorebirds, got injured 3 games into the season, and has been down here since. I just have a feeling we are counting the days until he goes back to an affiliate. The Orioles like to have their players with some momentum before they move up. I can't think of any guy in the organization who has more momentum than Leandro Arias right now.
Okay.
Great future.
What was the injury? Do we know?
I can't say for sure, but the information that I've gotten is lower body. So he's fast. He steals all the time, but he's put up all those numbers in the FCL, no steals and no steal attempts. So that kind of confirms that it was a leg, a thigh, a hamstring, something like that.
All right. Edwin Amparo, who's
Oof.
also 19 years old. You wrote me that he was supposed to have 4 to 500 at bats by now, but missed
Yep.
lots of 23
Yep.
with an injury. First of all, what position is he? And again, right-handed, left-handed. Tell us.
Okay. He's lefty hitter, righty thrower. He plays short and second, and he hasn't yet shown the range at short of Arias, but very, very quick hands, especially around the bag as a second baseman. great with tags, fake tags, extended. He's also not very tall. I'm going to say he's about 5'8", but there's a lot more evidence of strength in his forearms and wrists. He's got a very quick bat. He's a slender guy, but he's got over the wall power, and he's already shown it. So both of these guys kind of competing against each other, playing the same position. Amparo would have been a shorebird after camp if he didn't get injured last year, but he did. So now he has those at bats to catch up, and he's probably been the best player in the FCL so far, counting stats aside.
You made mention in what you wrote to me that he has incredibly powerful wrists.
Oh yeah.
Did you just see that, or are the results partly because of that, the strength
Well,
he has?
I watch a lot of the video I take after the game more than once. I watch it in slow motion, but really the number one indicator for a guy like that, I want to say he's 172, 174 pounds. It's the noise that the ball makes, and it's how fast he can get around on pitches that you're looking at the batter and the ball, and you're like, wow, he's beat by that. Oh, he not only is he not beat by it, he drove it for a line drive hit. So sound and visually evident quickness. The stronger he gets, this is going to be a small guy with significant over the wall power. So both of these guys really kind of standing out early.
First guy, Leandro Arias, and the second guy, Edwin Amparo, both play middle infield.
Yep.
Are they both, do either one of them have a real speed component to their game?
Yeah, Amparo, I want to. I only think one Oriole has been thrown out stealing this year. I believe that Amparo, we can look. I didn't steal. He did. He's 5 for 5 on steals. So they're both fast. I want to say not like super quick, not great burst, but intelligent base runners for this team and in this league. Stealing second is a huge strategy. They do it almost all the time, even if you're a catcher. So you need to run to be able to compete in this league. If Arias was healthy, he'd have 3 or 4. Amparo is healthy, so he's 5 for 5. Good question. They both move.
Do they have the same size as major league bases? Are they bigger?
A little bit bigger.
Starting to incorporate that, up the ladder.
Yep, that's why the strategy changed. They used to steal somewhat often. Now it's almost every time on first base, which I really love.
All right. Center fielder Fernando Peguero.
He's the fast one.
Yeah, he's the fast one. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
You said he's got 7 for 7 in stolen bases. Again, left-handed, right-handed switch hitter, and primarily going to be a center fielder.
So, I mean, I don't make that decision or have any influence, but the video shows this guy is awesome. So much range to both sides. I have video of him making the catch from center, standing next to the left fielder or standing next to the right fielder, and he did not have to stress to get there. His routes are so straight and so direct. Usually, center fielders in this league take a couple weeks to figure out how to play with someone on their right and being flanked on the left. So he plays center field very much like a veteran. Very quick conversion from the glove to the hand too. He hasn't had to throw anybody out, but he's a guy who uses his top gear speed on the baseball field, on the paths, on the base paths, and in the outfield. Peguero can really move. If you watch him play, he's got that leadoff profile and that center field profile. It's good to have those things kind of like standing out very early in his development.
Does he have an on-base ability kind of quality? Does he get on base a lot?
So far, he has not shown that. He doesn't walk often, and his K and walk ratio in a small sample size is less than ideal, as is his batting average. So today was the first day where he not only was not leading off, he was batting ninth. I do not believe he was on base today either. So, pardon me. He had one hit, 1 for 3, brought him to 172. So
let me ask you a question. All the names that you gave me, and I know you told me today that the one American player for the Orioles FCL team, was the losing pitcher in the game, and he's
Correct.
from Rockville, or did you say?
Rockville, Maryland. Yeah,
Yeah.
Montgomery County. Jack Maruskin.
Okay. But all the rest of them are Latin players, right? International players.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I do believe
Yeah, I mean
Jack is
the names are Rodriguez, Bucci,
Campos.
Rodriguez again, the catchers, Ellis Cuevas, who we're going to talk about in a minute, Fernando Peguera. My
Yep,
point is this: the Orioles have had FCL teams before when it was called the Florida Coast League.
yep.
Were they always this international laden?
As a
Or is
matter of
this
fact,
starting to be the result of Kobe Perez graduating some players from the Dominican Academy that they've signed that are creeping in to the upper echelons of the minor leagues now?
I think it's a combination of several factors. In years past, the roster used to be a better blend of both amateur drafted or signed players and international. The team that Gunnar won the league on in 2019, most of his pitching staff were American players. The bullpen was entirely American, so now it's the total opposite. I have a feeling that it's a little bit of what Kobe and the organization want to do, but also this is a cheaper way to find potentially better talent slash labor, not just for this year, for the subsequent years as these players fill high
So,
A, double A, and triple A. They'll do it better and cheaply.
so is this league now? It sounds like the purpose, that's what I'm getting at, is sort of to sift through the
Yep.
guys that aren't going to stick.
Yep.
So it's the first time they're being thrown in a little bit of deep water, even though they're playing against comparable players,
Yep.
but it's going to show who's really a prospect and who isn't.
I think that's an excellent way to summarize it. Last year in the Dominican League, they were in the water, but it wasn't deep like you just outlined. This is competition. And right after this league, after this year, and maybe even after today, after this week, we're already 10 games in, guys are getting cut, and that's going to be the end of their professional career. So this is where that competition for elimination truly begins. That's an excellent point.
do these kids do these kids, before we get back into talking about some players, do these kids understand that, Eric, or is this just also big to them that they've gotten signed by a big league club that they don't gather what they're entering into and don't understand quite how quickly decisions are going to be made about them?
That really is also an excellent question. It really kind of encapsulates how they look at themselves. Uh, well, some of them have agents that have prepared them for exactly what they're doing. Some are less experienced, less mature. I don't want to say less intelligent, but less prepared for real life adversity. So it really depends on the athlete. But the one thing I'm noticing with the Orioles, the more they go international, the more these guys know exactly what track they're on. If I don't do good, I won't get to Delmarva, and my friends will pass me. So most of the Orioles guys really truly grasp that, and they are dead set on getting to affiliate ball, be it this year or next year. That also is a really good point.
Yeah. Do these players have a sense that, hey, I'm with an organization that's going places? In other words, has the reputation of the Orioles, who were non-existent in this marketplace for 40 years, that all of a sudden now not only are they in, but they've got a little cachet now.
Okay, what I see, these guys could go 0 and 55,
Right.
and they know they work for a good company. They know they're part of a good team. They want to be better at the end than they are at the beginning. When Gunner's team won everything, they were really good, a
Yeah.
runaway champion, but they didn't play with the kind of pride in the logo and the colors that these guys do. I don't want to say they love being Orioles, but they really embrace the company they work for, and they want to make it better while making themselves better and in creating an actual opportunity that's more than they have today.
That's
These are
good
these are
stuff.
the kind of questions that really kind of like summarize what's happening in this league kind of briefly. I'm glad
Yeah.
you asked them.
Yeah. Well, I try and make it thoughtful rather than just a litany of players. You sent me the name Ellis Cuevas, who's a corner infielder, center fielder. Again, tell us a little bit about him. I know last season he showed well. Is he a left-handed hitter? I guess if he played third base, he's a right-handed thrower. But is he
Yep.
a left-hander, switch hitter, right-handed hitter?
I believe Cuevas is a switch hitter. We can check on that right now. But the way he's a switch. The way that I would categorize him, he is a gamer type of player. He's got good hands, good feet, good posture at the corner, third and first. He can scoop too. But I think he's made, I don't want to say Jim Edmonds type plays, but great catches in center field also. Not with the burst and the speed of Peguero. So sometimes he actually has to slide or dive or really extend to finish the play, but he can use his movement gifts in center field. So even though his baseball card says three positions, I'm going to put Cuevas in the outfield, and he's strong. He's not a small frame guy like the other two. He's already got some shoulders and some chest. And with the Orioles training staff, he's gotten bigger over the last 5 or 6 weeks. Already has an over the wall home run. Last year, piles of doubles. So this is a guy with some pop and some power.
You
Cuevas. He might
also
end up being the MVP.
you also said something at the end of your little write-up here. You said he looks like a tooled up athlete who
Yep.
plays hard
Yep.
on every pitch.
Yep.
That's a valuable, that's something that you don't see in the stats that he's really focused.
He is an intense guy. I mean, he's just, to me, this shows maturity. Every pitch on the field, into it, intense, focused. I've got great pictures of his eyes staring from the dugout. Second the game is over, relax, take it easy. Can handle an 0 for 5 just as easily as a 3 for 5. So maturity as a guy. Quiet leadership, going to extend down the bench through the dugout. Cuevas is going to he's going to make some noise in the Orioles minor league system. It took me one game, one loud line drive to be able to tell. He's going to excite people.
Okay, interesting. You are high on the whole group of young catchers that they
Oh
have.
yes. Oh
You gave
indeed.
me, I think it's three names: Miguel Rodriguez, Yasmiel Bucci,
He said it great.
Busi, Carlos Rodriguez. So let's start with Miguel Rodriguez. He's only 18 and
Yep.
he's batting 300 after 323 in his Dominican debut last year, DSL. He's a contact type hitter. Tell us a little more about him.
He had a hit today, so his average is 320. He has not yet shown the power that it looks like his body has. He's in good shape, big arms. Most of the time off the field, he wears a tank top, so you can see it. Like what I wrote you, right now, his best skill is touching the ball. He puts a lot of backspin on his contact, so it's a little bit advanced. I've got great video of him hitting line drives directly over where the second baseman is, or directly over the shortstop. The second base, the Oppo one, that went for an RBI. So he's off to a really good start offensively, but had that foundation, the beginning of his offensive resume last year in the DSL. And in terms of zip on the throws from catchers, he throws the hardest. So a lot of offense, a little bit of defense. Usually at this level, it's one or the other. So Miggy's a young guy, but he looks to be bringing both to the FCL.
That's 18-year-old Miguel Rodriguez. Tell us a little bit about 19-year-old Yasmiel Bucci.
Booch is kind of like the father figure for the lineup. He has
He's
a lot of
19. He's a 19-year-old father figure.
well, it's his personality. It's
Yep.
kind of like who he is, and
So
he
he's a
does have
leader. He's a little bit of a leader.
right. His English is great, so he can yell at them in both languages, and he can deliver a speech from the coach or manager to everybody else. So he's a left-handed guy, really really big barrel chested, big arms, big legs, big back, and he's a switch hitter that I've never seen bat right-handed ever. But when it's in his kitchen, he really, really has great bat speed to get to it with a short swing. And he also has, after last year, I think he had none here in the FCL. He has one over the wall home run already. So, he fits in with an advanced catching group. I do not think he's going to be one of the guys who stalls out in the FCL. He's going to get to Delmarva, and we're going to see where he goes from there. And his cousin is the top catching prospect in the Pirates system, Axial Plaz. So it's really neat. We play the Pirates sometimes 3 times a week. Like these guys see each other, catch against each other, warm up with each other. And I've got great pictures, even portrait style pictures of one at bat and one catching right down next to him. So both of their families really like me a lot.
All right. The third guy, and by the way, you gave me
Yep,
four names,
correct.
but I'm not remembering who it was. You compared one of the players today that you gave me to Sammy Basayo, didn't you? You said he's a
I
Basayo-like bat.
I did. I
Was that one
did.
of the catchers?
I believe that was one of the ones we haven't talked to. Yes, and that's Andres Nolaya, and
Okay.
he. Oh no, pardon me. That's Bucci's contact skills were like Basayo, the ability to touch it and drive it. That was
But in your notes that you sent to me to give me a little background, there was a player that you wrote that he was sort of Basayo-like, and I'm not seeing it on any of them. So anyway, let's move on. We'll go to Carlos Rodriguez, who's
okay.
20.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about him.
Carlos is less, I guess, becoming less of a catcher and more of a first baseman, which looks like it's going to work for everybody because he can really stretch at first, can really reach, play the bouncers like a catcher, and scoop. He doesn't look like the classic hitter or the fundamental hitter that of the others that I mentioned, but so far, he's batting over 300. He's got a great OPS. I would call him a bad ball or a flat ball hitter. If you spin it really good, so far he hasn't been able to do anything with it. If your fastball is 94 or 95, it might be too much for him. But if it's 91 or 92 and it's not going anywhere, he's the kind of hitter who punishes that and has great swing metrics, exit velocity types too. So I understand what the Orioles staff is trying to turn him into, a little bit more of a lower minors power guy. So far, so good. So he's probably the least catcher of the catchers group.
The last guy you gave me is Andres Nolaya,
Yeah,
who's 19 years old. Tell us a
yeah.
little bit about him.
He is an explosive athlete that's still growing into his frame. He has the pop times and the quickness to throw as Basayo. Basayo does it at about 6'4", 230. This guy does it at about 6'1", 190, 195. So he's definitely not done growing, but he was the cleanup hitter on the Dominican team last year. He had a lot of run production success, a lot of deep shots, a lot of barreled up balls. So he punished the pitchers the most last year in the DSL. So far, he's had some success, some multi-hit games, some offers. They're trying him at first, so he's kind of like doing a little bit of everything. It's a lot more work for these catchers per day and per session than it is there. So he might not have handled all the work just yet, but there's 45 games left. He's going to play a huge percentage of them at catcher, DH, or first. So He's going to get every opportunity to get his counting stats and his level of play up to where it belongs. He's probably the best thrower, pure thrower in the catching group.
Now, you make mention in the notes that there's usually some cuts right away.
Yep.
These catchers, though, you think all of them make it through the initial cuts? They've all got some talent, and perhaps that's the reason they're moving Rodriguez to first base because they're jammed with catchers.
Yes, I guess jammed is a good way to put it. Most of the time, they relieve that pressure by just axing one in the middle of the season. All these guys are too good. They're all above that level. I don't like to make predictions like this. I'd be shocked if they weren't all on this team or on Delmarva at the end of the season. And if one of these guys gets released or waived, I know what people think of them. So they'll be without a job for 30 to 70 hours. That's it. And maybe not even that much.
Will these guys, in other words, how many players are on this FCL Oriole team now? I mean, is it 22, 27, or 40?
It is a lot closer to 27. I'm thinking 14 pitchers, 5 catchers,
So, so
five
if
infield.
so, if some of these guys go to Delmarva in the next week or two, is that possible that they'd go that soon?
Yeah, I would say Amparo, probably
Like
Arias.
four or
Yeah,
five
there's going to
guys.
be movement, and it
Do
could
they
be
have
quick.
other players to make up for them, or
Well, that is what the Dominican Summer League is for. Some
okay.
are there. Some have already arrived here and have not been officially added to the roster. One way to tell that is who's the bat boy? Who's running out of the dugout to get the baseballs that go foul or the bats? If I don't recognize them, they're new. So this weekend, the manager told me that the bat boy was a pitcher named Jose Luis Yan. I looked him up. He's a 23-year-old that's been in the system for a season and a half. So he's here. So that tells me somebody's getting moved. In fact, 2 guys got moved up today. 2 right-handed relief pitchers just got moved up to Delmarva. Isaac Solano, the other name I can't remember. They DL'd 2 pitchers and an outfielder. So maybe a couple of those guys are going to come down, or maybe that new pitcher and another one are going to fill the roster spots. We usually don't know these things until they're actually announced, but most people in the Orioles fan base do not look those things up before I
All
do.
right. A lot of good stuff today. A lot of good
Very
stuff.
informative.
Let me just tell folks a little bit about the Costas Inn before we let you go, and I'll have one more question for you. The Costas Inn, located at 4100 North Point Boulevard. I'll be there tonight for dinner at around 7:30 tonight. I really like the ribs. They've got great steaks. They've got great specials every night. My wife's going to take advantage of the lobster special. That's every Thursday night. So looking forward to getting to the Costas Inn. It's been a while since I've been there. Also, this time of year is when the weather warms up, the sun is out, little humidity starts to creep in. Not that it's that bad today, but it's that time of year that you crave eating steamed crabs. And if you're
Mm.
craving them, you got to make a plan. Call ahead at 410-477-1975 to find out what price points are there, the availability, and just simple availability for you to have a really nice time when you go with your buddies or family for a crab feast at the Costas Inn. 410-477-1975. Eric, if you don't know this, I'd rather you just say, I don't really know. But, Latina players that sign, I'm sure most of them are really struggling financially, their families. I'm just guessing. Okay. I don't want to make a generalization, but some. Uh,
Okay.
is it equivalent to players in America that for the first time they touch money and they got a lot of family that's grabbing, and all of a sudden they get like a $20,000 bonus, which might seem like the world, and all of a sudden they get cut in the first couple of weeks when they get here, and some, not these catchers, but some you say it'll probably be the end of their professional careers. Is it, is it, have you heard stories that it hits them like a thud, that all of a sudden there's no more money, there's no more free food coming, with that, you got to get back to the Dominican and
Yep.
that's it. It's the end of the road.
I've heard stories that will bring out negative emotions in anybody. Uh, there are players that can't handle rejection in general. They've
Yeah.
never had that. They've never experienced that. So not only fiscally, it devastates them as people, and then they try to heal what's bothering them in the wrongest of ways. To be honest, those are the stories that hurt me the most. However, a big change in payment, in structure, and in, I guess, human rights and
Yeah.
education has occurred with their recent pay increase. I don't want to use the word mandated, but organizations are strongly encouraged, and there are benefits to doing so if they have mental health coaches, if they have shrinks, if they have people that help them socially. They don't live in dorms anymore.
How about language? Do they have the
Oh,
ability to take, English classes,
of course,
lessons?
yes. The
Yeah.
the Orioles had a ceremony before the season started to honor the 8 DSL players who graduated with a degree in English. And now when I talk to them and they're here, we don't speak Spanish. We speak English. So there's a lot of ways that this part of the minors, which really does spit out labor all the time and reject them, is kind of helping them be a full person that's ready to be in society and withstand negative things that could occur to them professionally when 5 years ago it did not even exist in any way. So it's a little bit, but I'm going to call it serious progress because a lot of those stories are 5 years old and they've seriously slowed down. We could have a show one day where I tell you the names and the sob stories of what's happened to people who look like they have beautiful and promising careers, and
Yeah.
and things are not going well for them now. So the less of those stories that I have to tell, I'm going to call it progress.
All right. Eric Garfield, many thanks. Again, we thank our friends at AJ Michaels / Carrier. Check them out at ajmichaels.com. They're the company that makes your home more energy efficient, kills all the allergens and viruses, and qualifies you for $6,000 in rebates, AJ Michaels. And we thank our friends at the New Atman's Deli, a New York deli experience and a bar. It's at Baltimore's Harbor Point, corned beef piled high, hand-rolled bagels, and something different, a bar. Atman's has food and drink specials every day, TVs to watch the O's game, and during the football season, probably the Raven games. All right. And we also thank our friends at the Costas Inn. Eric and I will most likely be back next Thursday
Look
around the
forward to it.
same time. And that's it for today. Ross, Luke, and I will join you on Monday, probably around 5 o'clock on Monday. And that's it for today. Thanks, Eric. Talk to you
You got
soon.
it. You
Bye.
got it.